Hello friends, welcome back to the Next.js series again. In the last video, we introduced you to Next.js and talk about why it's such a powerful framework. In this video, we will deeper dive into project structure in Next.js and explore routing with new app router. By the end of this video, you will understand how to create pages, nested routes, and dynamic routes in Next.js. So let's get started. Let's start with the file structure. When you create a new app router, when you create a new app using this command, you will see a structure. You will see an folder structure, something like this. So basically app folder, this is the new app router. It replaces with the old page routers. So public folder, here we store our static assets, like we can store our images and icons and styles. Under styles we store global CSS files, will all go over here. Next.js config file, we can do any configuration related with the Next.js under this file. Packages and file contains dependencies and scripts related information. So if you have worked with Next.js 13 before, you will remember that the earlier version of Next.js 13 used to have a pages concepts for creating the routes. Now with the latest version of Next.js, everything is handled inside the app directive, and each folder if we create inside this app directive will correspond to a single route. So let's see that in the video now. So first I'll start with the basic page routing. So what exactly it is, how we can create basic routing in Next.js. So as this picture depicts, that we have a folder called app. As I told you, that app router comes with the default app folder. So basically whatever route that we create inside this app directive will be a route. So we will be creating all our route under this app directive. So by default, when you install your Next.js project, you will get one file that is called page.tsx. So this is the base file, or you can say an index file of your application, from where your application gets started. So if I run my project npm run dev, let me open this up into a browser and we will see. Let me open this in a browser and we will see. On the default route, this page is being loaded. Hello, welcome to Next.js. If I go to browser, hello, welcome to Next.js. If I do any modifications over here, it will reflect the same changes to that page. So basically this is the default page where our application begins. Usually if you have created any static application using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so to start with the home page, you always give that home page as an index.html file, and further you will create other files to create further pages like page, about us, contact us, something like this. So the same concept is over here. So if you want to create other pages, you make sure that you create all of them under app directive. So this is you can consider it is like an index file from where our application gets started. Now this is the basic way that we start with routing in Next.js, which already comes with the starter template. Now I want to create another page inside it. Basically we are exploring basic routing concept in Next.js. This is the default page. For example, consider I want to create a page with a name like www.domain.com/homepage. This is the home page, and I want to open an about page. How do we create that? So go over to your project folder, and under this app directive, create a folder with a name about. Inside this about, for example, I just created it and left it until here. And if I go to the browser and if I type in something like /about, if I try to search for that page, it won't be exist, because Next.js suggests that if you want to create a route, so first you need to create a folder, and inside that folder it is a must step that you need to create a file with a name page.jsx. The naming conventions are must, and it is recommended, and it is strictly given in the Next.js documentation that if you want to serve this folder as a page, you need to mention, or you need to have this file inside that directive page.jsx. Let me export this as a component, and this content will get served on that page. Export default. We will be exporting a default function. You can name it whatever you want. I can give it a name as about page. It's It's up to you. Whatever name you have, you can give it. I'll be returning a div with an h1 hello. This is an about page. Save it and go to your browser and refresh it. As you can see, this page is being loaded now. About page. So this way you can create basic routing in Next.js. It is pretty easy, right? So you don't have to worry about managing all the routes inside a single file and configuring and managing that React based way to handling the route. So Next.js has made it pretty easy. It is basically the terminology that we say this kind of a routing is file based routing, because every route that we are creating is considered as a file, or we can say a folder based routing, a file based routing. So about is a folder, inside that we have a file, that is basically a route. So this is the basic routing that we can have. And the next, when we go further, when you enhance your application, you will be coming up with something like a dynamic routes. Consider you are creating a blog application, a blog website, you can say, and under that blog website you will be creating a blog page, basically where all our blogs will get listed. So you can consider this as a basic routing only, but under that, consider for individual blog post you can have a dynamic single blog page. We will be creating a skeleton of a single blog post page, and inside that skeleton we will be dynamically loading the content of that single blog page. Okay, now let's start with creating the dynamic route. We're gonna be seeing how to create a blog page and a single blog page. A single blog page is a dynamic page which will be changing based upon the parameter we pass to the URL. So let me first create a blog page in this app directive, new folder, and create a blog. So I can create a new file inside it, a page.jsx, because I want to serve this blog as a page as well, because in this blog page we're going to be listing all the list of blogs that we have on our website. Export is added as a default function, export function. Blog listing, you can give it a name that gives more similarity to the functionality that what we want to achieve. Blog listing, and return a dummy or a content as per your choice. Like I'll be returning an ULLI, a list, an li. It will be having a blog 1. Again, I'll be having a same kind of n number of blogs on my website, a blog 2 and blog n. If I do refresh and go to my browser and search for a blog page, and on our website we will see blog page got enabled, and we have a number of blogs on our website now we have to make, for example, this is the individual blog we have. So basically all the blogs having a particular ID, or we can say a slug. We want to show this individual blog in a separate page with its own content. So every page is distinct by its ID, or it's identified by its ID, or we can say a slug. Now, in order to load those dynamic blocks or dynamic blocks in a single block page template, how you can do that in Next.js, basically as the picture depicts, that we need to create a dynamic route. For that, how we can achieve that in this file-based routing? So inside the block, make sure that if you want to maintain a slug, something like this only, www.yourdomain.com/blog/single block, you can say a slug, single block slug. If you want to maintain something like this, you need to create a folder under blog directory. If you want to maintain a separate in a different way, for example, www.domain.com// not a blog, and outside of the blog, if you want to open it, single blog page, then you can directly create a folder outside this blog and inside the app directory. Now our goal is to create that single dynamic blog page inside this blog directory, so that the URL should look like this. So I'll create a new folder. So make sure that, for example, as we are passing a dynamic value to the route, so those values should be, in order to tell Next.js that those values are dynamic, those values will gonna be dynamic and the route is going to be dynamic, we need to tell Next.js that it is a dynamic part. So under block directive, inside the parenthesis, when you give a parent product, when you give a folder name, you need to enter that in a parenthesis, square bracket. Under that square bracket, give it a name like a slug. We gonna be loading individual blog post by a slug, which will be dynamic for individual post. It will be changing over time or changing based upon the post or the blog which we are opening in the browser. So it is a dynamic part. So it is a dynamic route, and we are going to be creating page.js. Obviously we are going to be creating a page.js file inside it. So let me just export something over here. Export default function page dynamic block page. We can give it a name. Is inside that return an HTML content. Like you can give it an header tag. Hello, this is a single blog post. If I go to my browser and search for blog slash or something, any number or a string, whatever you want, you can search like this. If I hit enter blog slash 1, it will open that page for me. Hello, this is the single blog post. If I do change it with something, a different string, SSG or some random character, it will open the same page for me. Now the next part comes in over here. So this becomes a dynamic route. Whatever value we are passing over here, it is always loading this page, right? So what if you want to read this dynamic segment and get the data from an API call? The data of that single blog post from an API call. So for that you need to read this segment value, the dynamic segment value. So to do that, Next.js has provided a feature for us. First, it is not a JSX, or you can keep it as a JSX. Next.js passes a params object to all the pages, that all the app routers. So we can extract it in this page. So from this params is an object which holds all the dynamic parameters that we pass to the URL. It holds all those parameters values under this. So to get this slug, basically whatever this value is under hold by this variable, we can say this parameter name. The name of that parameter is the folder name that we give this slug. If I want to read that slug, what I need to do, I just need to call this params object, and under that object we have a name. We have a key value pair which is a slug which is holding this dynamic value. Get the slug from it, and we will get the value of that slug, SSD. If I do change and type it something, how to learn Next.js, it will give me that value. Now you can read this value and pass it to an API and get the data from the API and load the dynamic data here. So that was about the dynamic routes in Next.js. Now talk about the nested routes. Nested route, basically, for example, consider you have an about page. And you want to create another page inside it. Mission, call it as a mission name. Now we don't have that page. To create that page, you can simply go over to about folder and create another folder with a name mission, and give it another name. Create a file inside it, page.jsx, and export it. Export default function mission, and return a string. Whatever UI that you have for this page, you can return it over here. Hello, welcome to nested page. If I go to my browser and see, hello, welcome to nested page got loaded, and our URL is looking something like this. This is a nested route we say in Next.js. So till now, so awesome. In this video we explored the Next.js app router and we have learned about the file structure in Next.js, how it exactly look like, and how to create basic routing, and how the dynamic routes work, and we learned about the Next.js nested routes. And in the next video, I'm going to be covering the server and the client side components in Next.js, are really important concepts that powers the whole app router in Next.js. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow along this series. Thanks for watching and see you later in the next video. Bye bye.